this one remained with the willow. Sorry, not willow, with the hazel, and I tried to keep some of the, in there. If you saw them frantically doing this, I tried to keep some of that going, but it's very grey. In fact, I'd say some of it kind of drops off. Don't mind that so much. It gives it that, I don't know, it gives it more of a softness about it, particularly in the hair area. And then on the second one, although I did use the willow on it to get it to be that dark. And this is interesting because I use this charcoal pencil, and as soon as I start to increase the density, I was talking about this, somebody talked about compression, tonal compression. I'm not sure that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that this will only have a range that goes from here to here. So it'll go from, let's say, it might go from there to there, for that lightest part there and whatever. So it's got a very short tonal range. But bringing something like this in, all of a sudden you're going from that short tonal range. This is when I'm talking about using white chalk. You're going from a short tonal range to something that's on the other end of the scale. Something, in this case, very dark. So that short tonal range, and then all of a sudden you start using something like this, you're going to create an imbalance. There has to be and ultimately, if you don't create the balance or work to balance the tones, you'll end up with almost like a silhouette, and it'll become very contrasted, which is fine. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, for me, I prefer, if I'm going to suddenly inject a certain great darkness to it, quite dark intensity to it, I like the idea of everything else that's dark on the face being the same density or relative density. So as soon as I start doing it, everything had to then be brought up to speed. Even though it's got that short tonal background, short tonal range in everything else around here, for instance, I still had to bring up the darks to this density. So in effect, and then do some kind of hatching and soft blending with it in order to create a bit more of a connection between the short range of the hazelwood and this thing. So to fill the gap, if you like, I applied some faint tones with this, so it didn't look like it suddenly went bang, all of a sudden it got to the edge and it went really black, and which is the problem for me. And I see that with white chalk or white crayons. You suddenly inject the extremities of a tone or the lack of a tone in if you're putting white on it, and suddenly these highlights pop like the face is wrapped in cling film, in cooking film. So that was what happened with those two. But like I say, with that second one, the image was such that it wanted that kind of thing. I'm going to draw this guy. I think it's a little bit like that girl I did the other day, where it was there's hair on this side, and then it's a sort of profile thing. Only because I think it's a storytelling image. That's all I thought when I saw it. This is telling the story of this man, and let me get everything what it wants to be. Obviously this has got to have a background on it because I've got to highlight the hair on it. But saw somebody today which is really interesting, who does more or less what I do, but in a very more controlled way. It was a thing on I think it was Instagram, but he kind of, like I say, I talk about drawing with shapes and tone, and that's basically what he does. But in that, that thing where they have either a stump or something in that kind of way, and they make these big it's a lot like painting with a big brush. Those people that do that and just put sockets on and whatever, eye sockets. It's a bit like that. And but he talked about shapes and tone, and it was good, very good. For me, I'm a little bit I like the linear element to it. So it still has to look like a drawing for me. But yeah, it was good, and it was interesting that somebody was talking in the same way, and he did say, he mentioned about Loomis, and if it's your bag, then do it, kind of thing, which I quite like that. I think the point of this video, this the so what thing, it got me thinking about the incredible work that some people do, and how that can be, if you're a novice, if you're if you got locked into the doing thing, early on, and the technique and skill thing early on, seeing great work it can just be overwhelming. It's sort of it's almost like you just feel inferior to it. I mean, I only know that because that's how I felt when I was all those years ago, and I was doing it. It was always, I was never as good as these other people, and not being strong. I kind of just beat myself up all the time, as everybody does, I think, when they're feeling a bit misguided, I suppose, or lacking in some kind of guidance or advice. I didn't have any. I didn't have any. But everybody. The thing is that because I could do those. I meant to find some watercolours I used to do, and I'm looking around to see if there's one. Excuse my head. I don't. No, there's nothing here. I thought I got some laying around. But I could do these, and I could do them fairly well, right? I could do these watercolours fairly, and nobody sort of questions that. I mean, I never really wanted anybody to give me advice in terms of how to, but if somebody just give me some advice on how to think about doing this, and the priorities thing, I would have been in a different place, but nobody did, obviously, which is why I packed it in. But as I said, it can be such a daunting thing, and this is what I'm saying about the so what. The Australian game show thing. Painter, artist year thing. The girl that won that had no or little or no skills, or not one. The one the episode that I watched anyway, and she just sat on the floor and painted. It was wonderful, but no, great skill or detail or anything. And I just thought, well, that's kind of saying, that, and I'm thinking about these images, these people who can draw these amazing and paint these amazing paintings with such detail, and I saw one today and it was just incredible. This what was it? I thought it was a woman on her own. No, it might have been the double figure thing. Anyway, it was just incredible. I don't know how long it takes to do these things because they look like mammoth, executions, and but when I looked at it closely, I just saw all the labour. I saw the labour in the marks, and as soon as I see that, that's it. I'm not interested. As soon as I see that, I can see this is the thing about the white paint thing, using creating flesh tones with titanium or white paint, and you get that labour. I can see the labour in it. There's no freshness in the marks, it's just diluted, or it's just not even diluted really. It's it's like it's got a putty effect. It's this thing when people draw fabric or paint fabric, and it looks like it's made out of plasticine. Well, people do that with flesh tones and faces, and when it's a big thing, you just can't see it. It's overwhelmed, this, and because it's just a production thing, really. But it just got me thinking about this attitude to seeing great work like that, and I think that I would say that, and it doesn't sound good, but it is almost like you're going to say to people, "So what? So what? You can do that." Does it? How does that? How should I respond to it? I suppose. I mean, as I said, in that video I talk about you should watch it before you decide on doing this. I've got no time for technique or style. I'm not impressed. Art that's created with just technique and skill, for me, that's just, it's a production thing. It's a manufacturing process. I'm not really impressed with that. I don't want to say impressed is not the right word, but you know what I mean. It's not really. It doesn't register with me. It's just skill. It's just something they practiced for a long, long time, and that's what you're seeing. And it just, I've said this before about skill isn't art. It's not. It's just the means to make it, and the means not to for a lot of us. You know what I mean? Sometimes you think, oh God, I ain't got those skills. I said, no way I can do that. But as I said, the attitude thing, I think, is the critical thing for me. This thing of if you endeavour, or if you've got some kind of goal of some kind, that's based on what you've seen, because that's the thing. I mean, I did suffer that. I did suffer that sort of wanting to do it like other people did it thing, and using their work as my yardstick. I did suffer with that. So, but if that's your measure and your driver, then it's going to be really hard. Because some of these guys are just incredible, and they're just, you can see the hours and hours and hours of work in their art. I wasn't going to call it art, because for obvious reasons, but it is art. If we designate it is anyway. And I kind of think of the situation where, and this is the problem as well. I was saying about people never really gave me any, proper advice, and because for some reason, I don't know, I might not have had the right. I might have been a bit standoffish or something, But I mean, I did have technical skills, but I didn't really understand about making art. I understood about illustrating things, but that's a completely different thing. And most people will just default illustrate because it's a lot easier to default illustrate rather than trying to create something special, something that's more alive, and so, which is hard. I mean, that's the hard bit. This charcoal, as you can see, is quite. I talk about a short range, a short tonal range, but it has a and this is me adjusting to it. Now I've said this before about when I make pressed charcoal, I've always got a sort of bedding in period when I have to get used to using this particular batch, and also the paper. This is just paper I've found, so I've got a double learning curve. I've got the charcoal and the paper, but this short learning curve thing, this short range, tonal range thing, it's interesting because the lightest part of this tonal range, the lightest areas of this, are not, or the increments to the lightest part, where the lightest part are, lightest tones are very fine. It's one of those things that when I talk about what I want from the charcoal, I want it to be, make marks without any effort. It's for me to get to those very fine increments of this charcoal. It requires a deft touch, a light touch on it. Otherwise, I'm not going to get anywhere near the range that I need. So it's a learning thing. I mean, this is what I'm learning from it, and I saw it on the face of that second one. So on the face of this second one, you can probably see it in here. I saw that was starting to get this very subtle range appearing, and it was just peculiar. I thought at the time I was doing it on the paper, I thought it's peculiar to what I'm doing. It's getting that kind of blotchy feel about it, or a sort of broken feel. But it's one of those, as I say, it's one of those things. What I like about this, and I've said this before about the being alive to it. It does that. It is making me think more about it. I think that's one of the things that it's part and parcel of this so what philosophy. Because if it was about me trying to do it as good as someone else, or in the same vein as someone else, or whatever, then it wouldn't be about being present and reacting to what the charcoal does. It would be about whether or not it's doing what I want it to do, the same as what I've seen before, kind of thing. But because it's not like that, it's because it's not like I'm trying to do it like somebody else, or trying to do it in some particular style. I'm quite open to what's happening. So, and I have to be, because, as I say, the charcoal's a bit unpredictable. When I was doing this to start with, getting things like the mouth in the right place, getting the alignment of the nose right, and the distances right, and all that were just, especially the mouth and the lips, were really, really difficult things for me. It was, and to some extent I still do tweak things and move things around and trying to get the chin just right, and it's probably the fact that I've done so many. That's the main reason, I would think. But I'm aware of the comparison thing. As I'm doing it, I'm aware of the looking at the distances. So, for instance, on the lip there, is that to get that to be exactly the right, where that actually, the top meets the bottom thing. There, I was looking at where it aligns with the eye. So vertically, where that aligns, and how far it is from the nose. I was looking at those things. I wasn't necessarily doing it, as a habit, as a deliberate thing. It's just a habit now. But that's basically what it, how it works for me. I make those comparisons all the time. But in the first in the first stages when I was doing it, I was doing it deliberately, and now it's got to a point where I just do it as a habit. Which I suppose some people who just see you draw like that, they think that it is a practice skill, and that's it. You just keep learning to do that, and often that'll be, that's the division of, it's a result of the divisions from the top or whatever. But it is down to that, me making those comparisons. That's what it is. The other thing I'm getting used to as well is that working with a decent thickness and a decent length, because the only way I got, when I ran out, the only way I got anything that was worth using was with these little bits, which were ultimately that, a little bit thicker than that, but that, and so I'm going to get used to again using a thick piece of charcoal, which is it's a luxury really. When people buy stuff, they don't even think about this idea that you just have to, buy some whatever diameter. I mean, I suppose if you buy the compressed stuff, is that the nitrum stuff, whatever? I don't know, but yeah, if you buy that, I don't know if it is compressed, isn't it? You'll get that. The big sticks. I've seen people with big sticks and they break them in half. So I watched somebody just get a big stick and then snap it in half. I thought, crikey, that's a luxury. That's extravagant, is what I was thinking when I saw that. It's it's like it's nice when you can afford to do that. Right. So I need now to check my distances and things. A lot of the edges of it are going to be, and there's a massive tonal balance. You can see that, can't you? If I bring up the inner components of it, and you'll see what I mean about the tonal balance. It's not at its working stage yet, which is usually it depends on the drawing sometimes, on the subject sometimes, how at what point do you think, that's it. So, but it's not at that stage yet. Got to watch out for build-up of the charcoal as well. That's another problem with this charcoal, which is very soft. So if I get too much build-up in it, it's going to be it's going to cause those, those sudden spikes in tone. It's going to cause those, and it'll look it'll look wrong, basically. So. It's also this charcoal is also like a bit of a painting kind of medium. You know, because it's, you know, when I touch it and push it around and things, it feels more like a paint, and with it allowing me to make the tonal adjustments. You know, that's probably what it is. I like the tactileness of that. You know, that you can do that. I like that. I like the way that things don't conform to mark making, and you're getting a very irregular, I suppose, irregular mark making. Things that you know, if it was slower, which is what I'm going to do probably when I slow down with this, is you start to be a bit more deliberate about the marks, and but I'm not at that stage yet. I'm going to get past the. Let's say it gets to a point where you think, that's it, but it's not quite there yet. But it's the tonal imbalance that's throwing me at the moment, so I've got to get that sorted out before, you know, the relationship of tones. I don't mind so much the harsh silhouette thing, but there's just got to be that little bit of familiarity between the edges. You know what I mean? I need to feel as though they're belonging together. just sort out the size of things there. I'm not sure it's quite right there. I'm going to chop some of that off in a minute. So this, as I say, this charcoal has got this granular feel about it, and it has I think that compensates for the lack of tonal range in it. It's a dirty feel about it. I know I think I might have said that yesterday. It's got like a dirty, granular feel about it. So you get that thing going off there, which is it kind of creates a different feel, you know, drawing wise. It definitely feels quite different to if it was doing it with the pencil or something. And if I touch it, it's definitely got a dirty feel about it. The granulation thing. I think for the front of the face is well lit and it's sort of silhouettes almost. I think it only works if the rest of it is tonally adjusted, you know, to the background. So it's not. This is not too light, because it's not going to make that contrast work. You see the ear, how light the ear is there. It's not right, that. And I can just move that around a bit. You can see there, like it's a lot better as the tones start to change. I'm going to use a rubber just to make that a little bit neater. I'm going to make this as dark, almost as dark as the background, same with the neck as well, so I can fix the shape a bit better. But I can't fix it until I'm in. You see how it changes. As soon as I get to a point where the tones are, like I was saying about shapes and things, but as soon as I get to a point where the tones are where they should be, I can see better the shapes. And and assess their relationship to other things. Yeah. I'm gonna try and switch to a different piece of charcoal, a different, same batch but a different piece, to see whether or not I can this piece, same batch, the same, slightly finer. So I'm thinking about tightening everything up, because one of the things that's throwing it at the moment is that, say for instance, the eye is a little bit too big, and the densities around it are a bit too strong. So I can be a bit more accurate with those things. Now that I'm at this stage, also, so that there's a problem with a build up there, for instance, and I can with a finer piece of charcoal, I can get that and fix that. Same with the the grey under his hair, underneath the quiff there, with it being a bit finer. I'm going to come back with the rubber and tidy those up as well. So I think the forehead's a little bit too straight. I'll just do that to it. I quite like the you know, the edge on it. Kind of like the idea that you see that bit there. It's doing that. I know these are like these like idiosyncratic things. You know, I quite like the way that it's just not quite a hard line on there, and it's a little bit of a, you know, infection of the tones into the background. I like crazy things like that. But it's just at the moment I don't set out to do those things. I just like them when they happen. I know what I like when it happens. But ask me to consider what I'm going to do with it. I've no idea. I just draw it and then watch what happens. It's a bit like fireworks. You just light the blue touch paper and see what happens. Sometimes you get a banger. sometimes you get a Catherine wheel. You know. Sometimes you want a banger. So I'm going to fix the tones on the ear. That's one of the things, and I'm going to just do that with, probably go back with the rubber in a minute just to make them a little bit more precise. The edges. But I just need to get the tones back to so it fits. You can see it's getting better. I don't know what's going to happen with these, but you see this build up here. I don't know whether or not I'm going to do anything with it. I quite like the feel of that. You know, this bit down here, I might do something with it. I just think it's a quite a nice effect. It's just, you know, I'm not gonna want it to be perfectly smooth. I like it to be in a bit different. I'll probably end up doing what I did with the others and just spending a couple of hours on it, just tweaking it. Normally that couple of hours consists of me sitting at the other end of the studio, which is literally 2 yards away, and looking at it, and then coming back and then fiddling with something, and then going back and sitting down again, and, you know, proper sergeant style, you know. It's just sort of, you know, the famous story of him sitting for hours staring at his painting, and then just brushes towards it and makes one mark and then goes back and sits. I kind of do that. I also like to sneak up on them as well. That's another thing as well. So I'll go out the studio, come back in again, and see what stands out. Yeah, so that's it. I think I'm just going to just get that edge a little tighter, fix the ear even more, and do something with this or not, you know, because it's kind of working, these black bits, but they're not deliberate enough, controlled enough. It's a bit blotchy, you know. You can see it's there and it's there, for instance. But I can break that down with rubber, so I can get that away, you know, get that off. But yeah, as I say, it's pretty good that. I'll probably end up just killing that a little bit there, because there just needs to be a bit more haze on that side of it. So yeah, I'll love you, leave you, and I'll catch you tomorrow.